Today we're talking to H. Nelson Tracey, the writer and director of Breakup Season. All right, so tell me a little bit about your movie, Breakup Season.
Yeah, so Breakup Season is a feature film that I wrote and directed, and that was shot in La Grande last February. And I've spent the last year editing the film, and we're just getting started with the release of the film. It's independent, so we're starting with our film festival run, and then we'll slowly but surely make our way around the country at film festivals in anticipation of finding distribution and then releasing the film to the general public, hopefully this winter.
Tell me a little bit about the process. You actually filmed here in La Grande, correct?
Yep, that's right.
So you actually involved some of the local businesses in your shoots?
We sure did. Yeah. So I guess first, just some good context. I'm not actually from La Grande.
Okay,
I'm from Denver by way of, and I live in Los Angeles currently.
nice.
But I came up to rural Oregon to shoot a documentary. That documentary ended up getting into the Eastern Oregon Film Festival in La Grande. I had never been to La Grande. I had never even heard of La Grande before that. And that was October of 2019. And then I developed a relationship with Christopher Jennings, who runs the Eastern Oregon Film Festival.
Mhm.
He had ambitions of bringing film production to the region. It started with a writing residency program, which I was one of the inaugural participants in, and that was May of 2021. And the goal of that was to develop material that could potentially be set in La Grande, Oregon. I worked on a couple projects, but this script that eventually became Breakup Season was the one that kind of felt like it was going to generate the most interest and traction. And one of the kickers was that I had this concept prior, but the movie involves a snowstorm and someone getting stuck in the location because of winter weather. And I would talk about that, and people said, "Oh, that happens every single winter in La Grande." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." And so, sure enough, I borrowed from real life events.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part of filming down here? So,
Yeah, there's a community element to this film that's really special, and I think it's beyond anything that I myself did. It's sort of an alchemy of all the great elements. But I think when you go, if we had filmed this in Portland or in Los Angeles, where I live,
mhm.
on weekends, everyone would have just scattershot and gone about their own business. But because we were shooting in La Grande, on Saturdays, everyone was here, and there are a finite number of places to hang out. So I think the telltale sign was the first Saturday. Steven, our producer, reserved a few lanes at Brickyard Lanes, the bowling alley, and I was like, well, maybe to the actors, come if you want, no pressure. It's a weekend, do whatever you want. Every single one of our crew members showed up to that bowling night, and that was the first weekend, so a lot of them really didn't know each other yet, and that really set the tone for the shoot ahead of us, that we were going to work really hard during the week and also play really hard and have a lot of fun together, and become sort of a family unit.
So for people who aren't aware of the film yet and who are hoping to go see it, can you give us a quick little pitch, like a little tagline, something to just
Oh
get
yeah.
started?
Of course, of course. Yeah, yeah. So Breakup Season is about a young man who brings his girlfriend home for Christmas to La Grande, Oregon. And upon arrival, it gets off to a bumpy start. An argument turns into a breakup. And she decides maybe I should go home after all for Christmas. However, it's Oregon in the winter, so she cannot leave. And so now his ex-girlfriend is stuck with him as well as his family, his mom, his dad, his older brother, who's a little bit of a recluse and kind of a know-it-all, and then his younger sister, who's a vlogger and Gen Z, and the six of them are all kind of stuck in the same house together, and there's a good balance of comedy and drama and all that good stuff.
So is breakup season the opposite of cuffing season?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, cuffing season I always think of as it being in like there's an expression in certain college campuses, ring by spring, and the idea that you're trying to get married before you graduate, or at least engaged rather, before you graduate college. I think of breakup season, where the breakup season name came along was it was a phenomenon I noticed among my friends where, we had in my extended community, we had like three long-term, like 7-year plus relationships all fall apart within a month of each other. And it was like, feels like a breakup season. And in fact, early December is the most common time of year to break up because it's like, okay, Christmas is coming up. Let me cut my losses and start the new year with like a fresh perspective and all that stuff. So yeah, I think, breakup season tends to be in December. Cuffing season, I think of as being like May. And so, yeah, I think it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
May I tell you about some of the people, the La Grande folks who were the
Yes,
individuals?
please do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll start with my favorite, like true success story of La Grande that happened. A lot of people reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you cast me in the movie? Can I help in any way?" Um, we did auditions and we had a few people from La Grande audition in the end. And most of the people who were in the primary roles were actors from elsewhere, but we needed some background actors for the downtown scene. So there are about, oh, I think there are 30 or so people who are involved as background actors, and not everybody is in the final frame of it, but who showed up or whatever. And then from there, we needed to cast a very small role, somebody who they meet in town. Um, and on the day, we saw and cast this like it's like a two-line role or whatever. And I cast a young woman named Stormy Kamara, and she had just shown up to be a background actor. She used to work at the local coffee shop. It's called The Local, but the coffee and ice cream shop. She was working there, had a day off, showed up. Next thing you know, she's an actor. Next thing you know, she came to our premiere in St. George, Utah last weekend and was part of the cast and had a blast. And so it was a true like showed up to just be a background actor, and next thing you know, you're a movie star, and part of the group. And so, yeah, that was really neat for Stormy and really fun to get someone in there. And then, yeah, you'll see a few other familiar faces. Christopher Jennings has a role. Stuart Kirby, who works at the Archives bookstore, has a role. And so there are a few other local, people on screen. And then off screen, I have to throw out some big thank yous. Doug Wright at the airport really helped us out a ton. Timothy Bishop in the economic office did a ton for us. Joe Bell, the chief of police. So there were just a lot of different individual members of La Grande who, and then it's worth noting Rika Finbrotten, who is the woman whose house we rented. We shot at a real house on Morgan Lake Road, and Rika was the homeowner who was graciously willing to let us, take it all over with a big movie set and, bring in a ton of gear and all that stuff. And Judy Clark, who lives across from Rika, also, we filmed some scenes at Judy's house also. So, and the list goes on and on. I mean, when I think about the number of hotels and the number of restaurants and the number of places, I can't even name them. I lose track because so many different people in La Grande, stepped up. And I think that's where, had we done this in LA or a big city, we wouldn't have had nearly that sense of camaraderie and excitement that we definitely had every single day in La Grande.
That's great. Oh, and I have to ask, are there any horror stories on the set? Like any huge technical things or people who just wouldn't work with you or stuff like that? So
Yeah, I'll tell you a horror story. So we have in the movie, there's a recurring thing of a puzzle is getting finished along the way, and so we see the puzzle at the beginning and then everybody's slowly working on the puzzle. Well, there is a lot of movie magic, but you still have to complete a puzzle to do this, right? And so Jeffrey Stillwell, who's the production designer, and that job gets props and things like that. He showed me the box of the puzzle and it looked perfect. It was a snowy image of a cabin in a forest, and I was like, okay, great, but kind of fits the mood of our movie. Well, what he hadn't counted on is that it was a white sky and white snow on the ground. That's a lot of white puzzle pieces, and we had to get this thing done and completed. So we had it originally scheduled for the second Tuesday when we were going to film the puzzle being finished or whatever. It became clear we were not going to have time to do that. And so we suddenly had to bring in the big guns, which is Rika called all the old ladies in town, and we brought in 3 elderly women who came in and helped us finish the puzzle. And like it became an all hands on deck situation of we have to finish this puzzle, we have to finish this puzzle. And then we were nervous, like there are so many people in this house. What if a puzzle piece goes missing? Or that was a fear too. But all's well that ends well. we bumped the puzzle scene to Friday, so that gave us 3 extra days and a lot of scrambling. We did finish the puzzle, and it looks great in the film.
Oh,
But it was, there was some serious nights of like, well, we might have an unfinished puzzle and have to rewrite the story to be like, womp womp, couldn't find the puzzle pieces or something like that.
oh, wow. Oh, that's so much stress.
Yeah,
That-
I mean, there's some other stressful stories, but that's it. All feels so small when you see the final movie. Like I don't even remember any of the stress because it's
yeah.
just like it's worth it for the end result.
So before we go, is there anything else that you want to make sure that everybody knows about breakup season?
I think the best way to keep in touch with the movie is just follow our Instagram at Breakup Season Movie. And then I have to give a shout out to La Grande Main Street downtown. We received some funding from the TRT fund, and we were able to do that through La Grande Main Street's involvement. And so I think that's the type of opportunity that really helped make this movie happen. We brought a lot of people to town, and that was from an economic perspective. This was a boon, a slow time of year for La Grande, and we were able to we filled the entire landing hotel for the month of February, and we were able to do stuff like that. And so I'm just appreciative of all the kind of elements that come with it, and the sort of the business side of it was really wonderful too, and I met so many people through it. So, but I would say it's a working. The movie is now done, but the journey to releasing it is just getting started. Hence, we're gonna do the festival run and all that stuff, and so I'm just excited for all that lies ahead. And I feel like soon, like the secret will be out. Like I've been for a long time, this movie's just been living in my head for a long time, and I've known, okay, we have something special, but I can't show it to anyone yet. And soon, everyone else will get to see what goods we have. So yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Great. Okay, thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm really excited to
Yeah.
see this movie.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll keep you updated. So thank you.